Welcome, miladies of inestimable value. If you're watching this right now, wherever you are, it's not by chance. Something brought you here, and trust me, what you're about to hear will change the way you see yourself and the people around you forever. There's a reason people misunderstand you, why they give you side eyes, whisper when you walk by, and secretly envy the way you move through life without needing their approval. You don't beg for attention. You don't chase validation. You mind your own business, and that's exactly why they hate you. But here's the twist. Their hatred has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with what you represent, a kind of power and independence they can't comprehend. Today we're diving deep into the mind of the Sigma female, the woman who doesn't follow the crowd, the one who intimidates without trying, and the one whose silence speaks louder than any words. If you've ever felt like an outsider in a world obsessed with fitting in, keep watching. By the end of this, you won't just understand why they fear you, you'll embrace it. Number 1. They're self-driven, not motivated by others' expectations. Most people live their lives based on what others expect from them. They chase careers their families approve of, settle into relationships because it's time, and shape their personalities to fit into social circles. But a Sigma female, she doesn't live by anyone's script. She moves through life on her own terms, powered by an internal drive that has nothing to do with external validation. This is what makes her unpredictable. While others are constantly looking around to see what they should be doing, she is already 10 steps ahead, following her own instincts. Society tries to mold women into people-pleasers, teaching them that their worth comes from how well they cater to others. But a Sigma female doesn't buy into that lie. She's not interested in being palatable. She doesn't tone herself down to make others comfortable, and she certainly doesn't make life choices based on what's expected of her. This self-driven mentality is deeply unsettling to people who rely on approval to function. They don't understand how someone can be so detached from the need to fit in. They assume she's cold, arrogant, or rebellious. But the truth is, she's simply focused. When she sets a goal, she pursues it without hesitation, regardless of who approves or disapproves. This independence isn't just about career or ambition, it's in everything she does. From the way she dresses to the way she speaks, she's not performing for an audience. She has no interest in proving anything to anyone. And that's the real reason people hate her, because deep down they wish they had the courage to do the same. Number 2, they challenge your perspective. Most people go through life surrounded by echoes of their own opinions. Their friends, social media, and even family reinforce what they already believe, keeping them in a bubble where they never have to question themselves. But a Sigma female, she doesn't play along with that illusion. When you interact with a Sigma female, you don't get comfortable small talk or empty affirmations. She won't tell you what you want to hear just to keep the peace. Instead, she will hit you with raw, unfiltered truth, the kind that shakes you, makes you pause, and forces you to think deeper. Not because she enjoys confrontation, but because she values truth over comfort. This makes people uneasy. They're used to others tiptoeing around difficult topics, sugarcoating flaws, and validating their excuses. But a Sigma female doesn't entertain illusions. She challenges lazy thinking, calls out hypocrisy, and forces you to see yourself without the filter of ego. Some people can handle this and even appreciate it, but many can't. Instead of reflecting on what she's pointed out, they label her as difficult, too blunt, or intimidating. Not because she's wrong, but because she exposes the cracks in their beliefs, the flaws they'd rather ignore. And that's why she's both respected and feared. She isn't here to make you feel good, she's here to make you think. Number 3. They don't need to be liked. Most people crave approval like oxygen. They shape their personalities around what's acceptable, adjust their opinions to match the majority, and soften their edges to avoid rejection. But a Sigma female? She doesn't operate that way. She doesn't need a fan club, and she certainly doesn't need permission to exist as she is. This complete indifference to social validation makes people uncomfortable. When someone isn't trying to impress, manipulate, or seek attention, it confuses those who thrive on external approval. They don't understand how she can be so content without constantly checking if others approve of her choices, her opinions, or even her presence. Sigma females know that respect isn't something you demand, it's something you earn through action, integrity, and strength of character. That's why they never chase it. They don't beg for people to like them or twist themselves into a version that's easier for others to digest. Either you respect them for who they are, or you don't. It makes no difference to them. This attitude is unsettling to those who rely on validation to feel secure. They interpret her self-sufficiency as arrogance or coldness because they can't fathom the idea of someone thriving without constant reassurance. But the truth is, a Sigma female's value doesn't come from the outside world. It comes from within. And that's the real problem for those who seek approval. Deep down, they wish they had the same freedom. Number 4. Their energy doesn't need to be centered on others. Most people structure their lives around others, seeking attention, validation, or a sense of belonging. They measure their worth by how many people like them, how often they're invited out, or how much attention they can command in a room. But a Sigma female, she's wired differently. Her energy isn't spent trying to impress, entertain, or keep up with social expectations. She focuses inward on her own growth, goals, and peace of mind. This self-sufficiency is unsettling to those who rely on external engagement to feel relevant. They can't understand how someone can be perfectly content without constantly being in the mix. To them, her ability to exist independently is almost offensive, like she's rejecting the unwritten rule that says everyone should seek validation from the outside world. Unlike attention seekers who need to be the loudest, funniest, or most charming person in the room, a Sigma female can walk in, say little, and still have an undeniable presence. She doesn't demand the spotlight, yet people notice her anyway, and that's what makes her a quiet threat. To those whose identity revolves around being seen, her indifference to social clout is confusing. It exposes their own dependency on attention. They might label her as distant, too quiet, or even stuck up, simply because she refuses to play the social games they live for. But here's the truth. A Sigma female doesn't need to be the center of attention to feel important. She defines herself not by how others see her, but by how she sees herself. And that kind of inner stability, it terrifies those who have built their entire self-worth around external validation. Number 5. They're self-sufficient, not bitter. People love to assume that any woman who isn't constantly seeking companionship or validation must be cold, damaged, or bitter. If she's not clinging to a friend group, a relationship, or social approval, they assume she must be hiding some deep-rooted resentment. But that's where they get it wrong. A Sigma female's self-sufficiency has nothing to do with bitterness. It's about strength. She doesn't withdraw from people because she's been hurt too many times or because she's given up on connection. She simply knows that her happiness, success, and fulfillment don't depend on anyone else. She's not waiting for someone to save her, complete her, or tell her she's enough. She already knows she is. This level of independence makes people uncomfortable. They're used to seeing women as either deeply social or emotionally wounded loners. The idea that someone could choose to be on their own terms without any hidden pain behind it doesn't fit the usual narrative. So they label her as distant, difficult, or cold to make sense of what they don't understand. The truth is, Sigma females value connection, but only the kind that's real, meaningful, and mutually beneficial. They don't force relationships, chase approval, or keep people around just to avoid loneliness. Their solitude is a choice, not a punishment. And that's why they're often misunderstood. People assume that a woman who doesn't need others must be bitter about something. But a Sigma female isn't bitter. She's just free. And freedom, especially in a world that thrives on dependency, is something most people will never understand. Number 6. They can spot inauthenticity a mile away. Most people are masters of performance. They adjust their personalities depending on who's watching, say things they don't mean to fit in, and wear masks to keep up appearances. But a Sigma female, she sees right through it. Because she's completely in tune with herself, she can instantly recognize when someone else isn't. She notices the forced laughter, the exaggerated confidence, the subtle desperation behind attention-seeking behavior. She picks up on the inconsistencies between what people say and what they actually mean. And once she spots it, she can't unsee it. This makes people uneasy, especially those who thrive on facades. They're used to others playing along, accepting their curated personas at face value. But a Sigma female? She doesn't nod along or pretend not to notice. She may not always call it out, but her energy shifts. She disengages. She doesn't feed into the illusion, and that alone is enough to make inauthentic people feel exposed. They might resent her for it. They might call her judgmental, distant, or too intense. But deep down, they know the truth. She isn't fooled. And nothing unsettles a fake person more than realizing that someone sees them exactly as they are. Sigma females don't waste time on shallow performances. They value realness, depth, and sincerity. And if someone can't meet them at that level, they simply step back. No confrontation, no drama, just a quiet rejection of anything that isn't real. And for those who rely on pretense to navigate life, that silent dismissal is the ultimate discomfort. Number 7, they are selective in their relationships. Most people surround themselves with as many friends, acquaintances, and social connections as possible. They keep up with people they don't even like, force small talk to avoid awkwardness, and maintain surface-level friendships just to feel included. But a Sigma female? She doesn't bother with any of that. She's not interested in social quantity, only quality. If a relationship doesn't bring genuine value, depth, or mutual respect, she won't force it. This doesn't mean she's unfriendly or antisocial. She simply refuses to invest time in connections that don't serve a real purpose. Unlike people who fear loneliness and hold on to empty relationships, a Sigma female understands that solitude is far better than shallow company. This level of selectivity can make her seem distant or even snobbish to those who don't understand it. People who rely on constant social interaction may interpret her boundaries as arrogance or assume she thinks she's too good for them. But the truth is, she doesn't base relationships on convenience or status. She bases them on authenticity. If she lets someone into her world, it's because they genuinely resonate with her, not because they fill a social quota. This trait intimidates people who thrive on artificial friendships. They don't understand how someone can be so content without a large circle, without constant group chats, without the need to be everywhere socially. But that's because they don't realize what a Sigma female does. That true connection is rare, and she'd rather have 1 or 2 deeply meaningful relationships than 100 superficial ones. So, if she chooses you, know that it's not by accident. It's because you matter. Number 8. Their energy doesn't need to be centered on others. Most people, whether they realize it or not, structure their lives around external validation. They seek attention, approval, and constant engagement, as if their worth depends on how many people notice them. But a Sigma female, she doesn't operate on that wavelength. She doesn't need a stage, an audience, or a constant stream of social interaction to feel relevant. Her energy is directed inward, towards self-growth, personal goals, and a deep sense of fulfillment that doesn't require external reinforcement. This is precisely what makes her a threat. In a world where so many people define themselves by how much attention they can attract, the Sigma female's quiet self-sufficiency is unsettling. She's not competing for validation, and that lack of desperation for approval makes those who thrive on attention feel exposed. It forces them to question whether their constant social maneuvering actually means anything. Unlike those who exhaust themselves trying to be liked, noticed, or admired, she moves in silence, content with her own company and purpose. She doesn't waste energy performing for others or engaging in empty social rituals just to stay relevant. And yet, paradoxically, this very detachment makes people notice her even more. There's an effortless magnetism to someone who isn't trying to prove anything. To those whose self-worth is tied to external recognition, she's a puzzle they can't solve. They mistake her independence for arrogance, her solitude for loneliness, and her refusal to seek attention as some kind of defiance. But the truth is simple. She doesn't need to be seen to feel important. She already knows her worth. And that kind of quiet confidence will always make the loudest people in the room feel uneasy. Number 9. Intelligence over popularity. Most people are obsessed with being liked. They chase status, bend their personalities to fit in, and spend an exhausting amount of time curating an image that will make them more socially acceptable. But a Sigma female? She couldn't care less about any of that. She values intelligence, depth, and curiosity over fleeting social approval. This mindset makes her a mystery to those who believe popularity equals power. To them, success is about networking, maintaining the right image, and being part of the in crowd. They thrive on social validation, assuming that the more people like them, the more important they are. But a Sigma female operates on a completely different level, one that doesn't rely on empty social climbing or performative likability. She would rather spend time learning, questioning, and expanding her mind than engaging in meaningless social games. She doesn't engage in gossip, small talk, or desperate attempts to impress. If a conversation isn't stimulating or adding value to her life, she simply isn't interested. This selective engagement confuses people who mistake attention for intelligence, thinking that being the most noticed in the room somehow makes them the smartest. Her focus on intellect over image makes people uncomfortable. It forces them to realize that their social status, no matter how carefully crafted, is hollow if it isn't backed by substance. While they chase fleeting approval, she's busy evolving, gaining knowledge, and sharpening her mind. And that's why they resent her, because deep down they know that charm and popularity can only take them so far. In the long run, intelligence always wins. Number 10. Freedom is their fortress. Sigma. Females have a unique relationship with freedom. It's not just a luxury for them, it's a necessity. They don't mind solitude. In fact, they thrive in it, while others may seek constant company or feel lost without the noise of social interaction. A Sigma female's peace comes from her ability to exist comfortably on her own. She doesn't need anyone else to define her or fill the spaces of her life. Her freedom is her fortress, and she guards it fiercely. This autonomy doesn't come from a place of loneliness or bitterness. It's rooted in the confidence of knowing that she is complete in herself. She doesn't chase validation or seek constant reassurance from others to feel whole. Unlike many who live their lives constantly influenced by the opinions of others, the Sigma female's sense of self is unshakable. To those who rely on external sources to feel good about themselves, this is unsettling. The Sigma female's ability to live independently, without the need for constant validation, exposes a vulnerability that others would rather not acknowledge. They are dependent on others for their sense of worth. Her sense of autonomy and self-sufficiency reveals just how much they are tethered to the need for approval. This creates a quiet but powerful tension. People who have built their lives around seeking attention, approval, and acceptance find it hard to understand someone who isn't swayed by these things. It feels threatening to them because it forces them to confront their own insecurities. The Sigma female's comfort in solitude and her resistance to external influence highlight a freedom that many will never experience, and that's why it can be so irritating to those who rely on others to feel validated. In the end, Sigma females are a force of nature. They exist outside the bounds of societal expectations, carving their own paths with an unshakable sense of self. They don't need validation, popularity, or the approval of others to define their worth. They already know who they are, and that confidence radiates from them in ways that can't be ignored. Their independence isn't an act of rebellion. It's simply the freedom to exist authentically, without apology. For those who are uncomfortable with their strength, their mystery, or their refusal to conform, Sigma females can be a challenge. They expose the cracks in a world that values appearance over substance, noise over silence, and conformity over individuality. And that's precisely why they are both admired and feared. But ultimately, Sigma females don't care about being understood or accepted. They don't need to explain themselves because their presence alone speaks volumes. So, to anyone who's ever felt like they don't quite fit into the box the world tries to put them in, take note. The Sigma female doesn't just survive outside the box, she's the one who defines it. And the world may never fully understand her, but that's not her problem. It's her power. If you found this video as eye-opening and intriguing as we hoped, don't forget to show some love. Hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with more content that challenges, inspires, and makes you think. Like the video if you're ready to embrace your true self and live on your own terms. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let us know what you think about the Sigma female mindset. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share the video with them. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching, my ladies. See you in the next video. Bye for now, and God bless.